Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Scottish Disney Cars Collector YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at, I guess Jerome Ramp doesn't want to be reviewed, these three. Now, I am very aware that these are very highly sought after releases. This is Jerome Ramp, Stefan Gremsky, and Towga Gremlin, which were all only released once in the 2016 Oil Rig Getaway series. And because of that, and because of them focusing on Cars 3 stuff the following year, these have all become extremely rare and highly sought after releases. I don't think a lot of people are actually aware that these came out, just because they were just they came out and then just forgotten about that. So they were part of the Oil Rig Getaway series, which consisted of 8 cars, which was Tubbs Pacer, Vladimir Trunkov, which makes no sense because they don't appear in the scene at all, and then 3, 4, and 5 was Jerome Ramp, Stefan Gremsky, and Towga Gremlin, and then number 6 was the deluxe of Submarine Femmett Missile, the updated one, which I do have, and 7 and 8 were Acer and Grem with helmet as a 2-pack, which are the only 2 cars I'm missing out of that series. I would like to get them. Man, Jerome Ramp does really not want to be reviewed. Anyway, yes, I just thought this would be a good monumental review because I actually got all 3 of these last year for very good prices. I think Jerome Ramp, if I remember correctly, was I think it was £10. I think Stephen was about 6. Towga was 8. Sorry. No, he was 6. Okay. And Towga was £4, not £8. Sorry. Which there's a reason why I think he cost that amount, but even still, when I found him for that price, I just could not pass it up. He was the first one I got of the 3, and then it was Stephen, and then Jerome was the last one, who does seem to be the rarest one out of them all. I don't know why that is, but he's the only pacer out of these 3, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I'm going to review these 3. So it's a triple review. I just thought it'd be cool to do it like this because I don't think there's ever been a review on YouTube where someone's reviewed all 3 of these together. And also, I really only have to go over 1 Gremlin as opposed to 2, of course. So I've actually just realised that Stefan Gremsky does not have the hockey stripe. Maybe I should go over Towga then, actually, because yeah, okay, and we'll quickly touch upon Stefan Gremsky. Yeah, I've just realised that. Well, it's a yellow hockey stripe there, done. And I think Stephen's a more interesting one to go over first, actually. Yeah, do you know what, I'll do him. Just missing a hockey stripe in terms of, like, monumental detail. Yeah. So, anyway, another thing about these as well is, I know they are, like, called, Jerome Ramp, Stefan Gremsky, and Towga Gremlin, just by those names. However, you could technically say they are with torches, even though you only see these 2 in the film with torches. Towga Gremlin you do actually see later on in the film. It's in the Tokyo Alley scene, and he like bashes up against Femmett Missile, so you do get to see him. I think he's the one who goes like, what? When Femmett Missile drives backwards off the oil rig and jumps into the sea. But yeah, so they are just known as their names and not with torches, like obviously Acer with torch, for example, or P.T. Pacer with torch, which was a fucking weird release. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Jerome Ramp first because he's the only pacer out of them, and I might stick on the flashlight. I'm sorry, I will get lighting correct with all this eventually. It's just by the time I get around to recording these videos, usually now, the daylight is just starting to go. It's because I live in the UK, that's why, so apologies. In summertime, it'll be a lot better. Anyway, so Jerome Ramp is obviously a pacer, and a very, very nice one at that. I love this sort of like burgundy red, but with the flash, and to me it sort of looks like a very, very, very dark pink. Like it's a maroon, like red pink. It's really lovely. I love the colour. The expression is amazing. I much prefer these types of expressions where they're looking off to the side as opposed to here's an example. And a slight spoiler for the next review. But just sort of looking off straight, I don't know, like, the pissing cup. Some of the pissing cup races really would have been a lot better if they had like unique expressions looking off to the side or whatever. But yeah, I just love this. There is a cancelled prototype of Acer with Torch for anyone who doesn't know, which was going to be updated. It was going to have this moving up and down and have a much more accurate torch piece. And the prototype has the exact same expression as Jerome ramped. Now, whether the final version or not would have had the same expression is unknown, because it could just be because it was a prototype. But I still thought that was interesting to note. But yeah, he's like looking off to the side, and he's got the exact same mouth as Acer. But yeah, I love the expression. I think it's so cool. The detail on this fight is immense. Like, if you look at the hood, you've got this sort of like scuffed, like, sort of, I think it's supposed to be bare metal, so like the paint is just totally came away on his hood, and like the way it's like sort of like maybe every time he's clamping that down it's scratching like he's paint off, but there's a lot more sort of a bare silver metal. To be honest, I think this would have been a lot better if they didn't actually paint this, and if they actually left it like the bare metal of, the die cast. I think it would have been a lot better, because it would have shown up and been a bit more realistic, but it's still fine. It's still really cool. But he's got sort of three like grey sort of splotches, and then a sort of like dusty grey. I've just noticed that there's a tiny strip of grey up here as well compared to over there. That's pretty cool. He's just shit. Yes, he's shit. Now that sort of like not rusted, but a sort of like faded detail of the red is just it's so lovely. For the front mouth, you've got, the teeth, the headlights, that grill piece, the Pacer logo, you can just make it there, and the bumper has got a sort of like dirt, like sort of detail on it, which is really nice. I do like how that looks a lot, actually. It's so simple but it's so effective, and fucking look at this. All of this, like, sort of dust, sand, dirt, oil, God knows, but like the amount of detail underneath here is absolutely astonishing. Like, just all these little like sort of sandy coloured specks on both sides, and at the back and the front. Like, either he's been riding too low and scraping against the ground, or this could be from working in like this, I don't know, like a steel works or something. It's just such lovely detail, such beautiful detail. I just love how it looks. It's so cool. And also the visor has got, like, when I eventually got all three of these, I was so surprised to notice that how detailed Jerome Ramps actually was. Like, it's obviously black with the clear visor, but it's got this sort of like rusty sort of brownish yellow like sparks or like dirt on it. It's just maybe it's from like all the fire spit back. It's just it's amazing, honestly amazing. Such lovely detail. And as for the rest of them, we've got the door, Pacer logo again there, side view mirror, that fine whatever it is, black stripe, and the tyres, which read Road Hug, obviously, and they're sort of like light brown. The back, you can't really see the back, but obviously we have the gas canisters here, which are much better than the PT Pacer and Acer with Torch ones. These are much more film accurate, and they're huge as well. Absolutely massive, and I love the little basket that they sit in, and there's two cans, and they are like separate pieces, like these, they aren't together, which is nice. And then obviously there's wire, which would, I assume basically would run through under here. However, sadly they don't do the full thing, because there's no way that goes inside the car's body. I don't want to think about that, but there's no way that's like that, so it must like run through. But yeah. Also, just to note, I probably won't go over all three of the gas canisters on these, other than I get the different colours. I mean, I'd say Towga's stripes are just a bit more light on Jerome's, and Stephen's are two different colours actually. His are sort of horribly painted, just noticed that, orange, and a sort of probably the same brown at the bottom actually as Towga. Anyway, but they're very nicely sculpted and beautifully detailed, and again more detail and like rust on this bumper. It's just it's so lovely. And again, all of the windows are picked out in the silver sort of pinstripe detail, I guess you'd call it that, but yeah. And there's his bottom, and it says Pacer. And as for the torch, well, it's just a stripe or a strip with obviously the little thing that would sit in the hubcap, and then also the little tip there and everything. It's all just picked out in a sort of like very dark silver. But yeah, obviously the cool feature of these is the visor lifts, and you can get a pretty good lift out of that. Obviously, I imagine some people have probably ripped these off, like if they bought seconds back in the day, and obviously just try to have it as a regular like Jerome ramp too. I've just remembered it actually appears in the Cars 2 video game. I think it's when you're doing the spy training test and you need to side bash a car. I think the multiple pacers you see like along the road, I think that's Jerome ramped actually. So I think he's in the Cars 2 video game. Anyway, yeah. But I've been talking about him for ages, but he's just so lovely. And in such good condition as well. I was so happy to get him for £10 because the seller initially had him up for 25, and then I think he reduced him to 20 and then 15. And I kept sending offers and offers, most of which they knocked back. And then I think he eventually put it down to £12 and I offered 10 and they accepted it, which was amazing. So yeah. This guy's so nice. Really, really cool. And I love how the visor just makes it so much better and much more film accurate. I do like to make them all different. I kind of like to have his sort of up and then like Towga sort of focus with the whole thing down, and then, you know, Stephen's like I would just have like, you know, like slightly up. I just love the range you can get off them. It's so cool. But yeah, that is Jerome ramped. Next up, we have Stephen Gremsky. Now, as I said, sorry, I had to itch my nose there. Now, as I said, I'm not going to go over both. Like, I will, the different colours and that, but in terms of detail, like they're the exact same thing, apart from the missing hockey stripe. So, yeah, like I just mean the sculpt and that of the car. I'm only going to go over it once. So Stephen Gremsky is obviously a Gremlin, and again, he is, I don't know if he's my favourite. These two are my favourites. Towga's my least favourite, but he's still cool. Stephen Gremsky, just wow. I just love like the colour of this, like a dark green Gremlin. I just think it's so cool. And I love how clean this side looks as well, actually. And then you turn it over, and again, what would make the Lemons unique, he's got a replaced door that doesn't match the rest of them. It's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Expression, he's sort of a bit more lower rides than Jerome ramped, and sort of again slightly looking off to the side. Again, got teeth picked out here. And again, as for the front grille, well, grille, bit of orange, bit of silver. Bumper, which doesn't have as nice detail as Jerome ramped, but it does feel pretty rough to the touch actually, which is quite nice. The visor is a sort of very light brown colour. It's very odd. And obviously he's got his side view mirrors, windows, the Gremlin logo on there. And again, all the orange and black detailing picked out, which again is very nice. My favourite part of him would have to be, again, his sort of worn down look. Like, look at that on the front and the top. It's almost like he's got a base colour and the paint's just sort of flaked and rusted away, like it's flaked off. It's just brilliant, because you've got some up here above the Gremlin logo, and then a bit of splodges, and then just more picked up here. It's like, it really does look like the paint's been like chipped or ripped away. It's so cool. I really do love these releases. They're some of the best I think Mattel ever made. And obviously he's got the roof bar. And again, as for the back, well, again, canisters are a bit hard to, pick out or make different, but they're the exact same. sitting in the basket, and again, tail lights, and the wheels are a very, very nice bright silver, which is quite surprising considering he's a lemon. Maybe Stephen Gremsky, just doesn't get them as dirty. But yeah, and again, the torch piece is the exact same. I don't think the colour looks a little different. Hold on. Yeah, I thought that seemed... Yeah, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I think Stephen Gremsky's torch is slightly darker than Jerome Ramp's, actually. Huh. Yeah. Might not look like it on camera, but this is definitely a bit more of a brown than that. And again, he's got the bumper. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty quick. I mean, obviously, he's a gremlin-shaped car, so sort of like more square than a pacer. I do prefer the look of the gremlin cars. I like the look of the pacers as well, obviously. Fishbowl. But I just like the sharper edges and more box look, and the sort of like the way the hood looks as well. I think they're just better looking cars in general, to be quite honest. But yeah, Stephen Gremsky, that wasn't didn't take too long to go over, but most of the detail is in Jerome Ramp in terms of what they do. And oh yeah, again, obviously, that lifts up and down. I do have another one of this actually, because I bought one for very cheap because it was missing a side view mirror. And I thought, oh yeah, that'll do for having this guy. And then I found another one pretty cheap that was near mint condition. So I was like, oh, okay, because you can see there's like a chip there on the front of him. So basically my plan with the other one is to rip all the pieces off and have it as a regular Stephen Gremsky. And last but not least, we have Towga Gremlin, who is the exact same model as Stephen Gremsky, of course. Now, bit of a story behind this one, and probably the first thing you are going to notice, where are his side view mirrors? Unfortunately, they are missing. Now, to be honest, and going off the look of this might have been an error, possibly. I highly doubt it. I think they have just been ripped out. Basically, yeah, I got this guy for second hand for £4. Now, I thought the seller didn't realise what they were selling, and there's no way I was going to turn down £4 for this. It was an absolute steal. However, I think the reason why they sold that cheap off to me is because these are missing. I didn't notice that they were missing until he arrived, and I was like, fucking hell. I mean, it's fine. I'm still really glad to have him. To us, I think he looks kind of cool without the side view mirrors. But yeah, it is annoying, but I just didn't notice. I think I still would have bought it regardless, though. But yeah, anyway. He has the exact same detail as Stephen Gremsky in terms of, like shape and everything and that. The only major differences with him is, of course, he's a sort of, like a sort of very, 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 very dark red, brown, basically. The major thing about him is again, that faded detail, which, kind of like Jerome Ramped, where it's a much lighter brown, and again, it's just sort of like worn down and lost its colour over time. It's the same thing on the roof. Again, it's magnificent detailing. And it's a lot more faded than like the darker brown. It's almost like, again, like the reason why this hasn't faded is because he's had that covered. So maybe again, this is just from the heat of the torch. Again, it's just, I love that kind of detail they've put on them, because they're older cars. His expression, he's a bit more determined. I think he's actually slightly like smiling, but you can sort of see that, but his teeth aren't painted, which is strange. I've only just noticed that. But his expression is much more neutral, and again, much more focused, like, I'm gonna get you. But yeah, definitely more of a determined expression with the torch. And again, detail-wise, again, it's same colour as Jerome Ramp, but a slightly darker type of weathering, that more sort of gold colour. This is a more sort of like, it looks like the brown of that actually, but again, really good like weathered detail and sparks and dirt picked out in here, especially this side. It looks really good. I love the weathering on this side and both sides really, but it's a sort of like, it looks like a mud splatter, but again, it might be just like Jerome Ramped, where you might be just riding too low, and again, it's just scraped away and came away over time. Again, it's really beautiful detailing on both sides. Love it. Obviously, he has a yellow hockey stripe, which Stephen Gremsky does not have on either side. And probably the most major thing, again, a bit like Stephen Gremsky, is he's had his trunk replaced, or the well, yeah, the trunk of the car hood. It's a sort of like sandy orange, which, again, I just think is beautiful. Love it. And again, silver bumper on both sides. That feels a lot more smoother than Stephen Gremsky's. And again, as for the torch, try to see if it's a different colour. Sorry, I'm very tired. I think it's just about the same colour as Stephen Gremsky's actually, but Jerome Ramps is lighter. Probably the reason why they're the exact same colours, I guess these two would have been in the same production batch, technically, because they're the exact same model. So that's probably the reason why. Anyway, yeah, that is Towga Gremlin. And again, that opens and closes, of course. Despite the side view mirrors, still very glad to have them. But yeah, that was my triple review of Jerome Ramped, Towga Gremlin, and Stephen Gremsky. 3 releases I am super happy to have because I wanted them for years and years and years, and just the amount of money they go for, I thought I'm never going to have them. And, you know, despite a few little chips here and there and some missing side view mirrors, I managed to get them for basically the total price of about £20, which is a steal for these special Jerome Ramps because he goes for a lot of money now. I am hoping to God that Thailand re-releases these one day. I think they would be immensely successful and popular and would sell extremely well if they were to do them again, because my God, like, they're unbelievably sought after, these. Like, they're super ridiculous rare, and I think if Thailand, if they've done Thailand variants of them now, like, these would just sell out so fast, and I would definitely buy a couple to have the Thailand variant, of course, but I would buy a few for customs as well. I'm really hoping that they re-releases at one point. God, I've just realised these are 9 years old. God, that's mental. Decade old next year. No wonder they're so rare, because they haven't been re-released ever since. But yeah. And also, I think these are my favourite lemons that we've had in the whole Cars 2 diecast range. Yeah, Acer Gremlin Professor Z are great and all that, but and I do really like J. Kirby Gremlin and Tubbs Pacer actually, but I really wish we got more of the side lemons, like stuff like Tyler Gremlin, Fred Fispowski, Don Crumlin. I think there was that all there was. I swear there was more. Like, say, Petrov Trunkov, though he never appeared in the final version of Cars 2. But the point I'm getting at here is these are my favourite lemons that they've ever done in the range because they are side lemons. They have very brief screen time, but I just want. There's so many lemons in Cars 2 that have so many unique and wonderful colours that Mattel just, I don't get why they've never made them, because it's just repainting the same model over and over again, and again they would sell it fast. Also, it's mental how they've only ever done 2 Hugos in the entire range. 2 Hugos and that's it. That's mad to me. In fact, and only 3 Trunkovs as well. Petrov, Tolga, and Vladimir. They really need to re-release these because I think they would sell out amazingly, amazingly well. But yeah, maybe for the 20th anniversary of Cars 2. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye.